Awesome. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Holly, I was actually thinking about what you could call me, and I think facilitator, after Stanley's comment about debating everything that you two are going to say, I think maybe I need to moderate more than facilitate, so we'll see how that goes. But afternoon, everyone. My name's Andy Havel. I'm Head of Marketing at Kernel, and I love brand and marketing, and so I'm absolutely stoked to be here, sitting with these three amazing people. I feel very privileged to be here today, and I think we saw some fantastic prezos. So can I get a very, very quick round of applause for the three of them for their amazing. Now it is almost 1 o'clock, and we're actually meant to wrap at 1, and I'm sure there's a few hungry tummies out there, so we will try to whip through this pretty quick. I'm actually going to throw a couple of questions straight to each of you individually, and feel free to debate away as well, team. But Stanley, first up, you talked about building something real and posting regularly, but what are your tips to maintain consistency in storytelling when you're doing that?
So first of all, your storytelling, many times, actually, if we went back a few slides to Maria's slide on storytelling, I took a photo of that because that's what we talk about all the time. That's like the best snapshot of storytelling structure. It's so good. And I'm going to show my team because we say all the same things. I just didn't have this inverted pyramid thing. But like storytelling, staying consistent, if you're talking from a real place, you'll only ever be consistent. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, I'm sharing, I'm showing you how I build my business in public. There is no way for me to not be consistent in that storytelling, because I'm just literally, I did a thing and I told you I did a thing, and so there's no way to not be that. So when you're getting into storytelling, one, use some of the stuff that Maria shared, but also if you're telling genuine stories, there is no way to not be consistent. There is just no way. The way you get inconsistent with storytelling is because you're full of shit.
Like politicians?
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. Holly, you're very, very passionate. We could tell that, I think, from your presentation, which was great. And you gave us 6 examples and talked about, them potentially being 5%, not the 95%, which sounds like just a small part of what you do. Can you share an example where strategic storytelling, so actually how you brought or put some of those into action to help an organisational person achieve a breakthrough in political engagement?
Yeah, it's really easy, and it follows on from what Stanley just said. When the narrative's not clear, that is what people are saying, especially politicians to the public, it's great for me to be able to pick holes. So what it means is if they're saying one thing and doing another, you can find out where the storytelling is incorrect and you leverage that. So what that means in practice, and Maria touched on it, is you use things like OIAs, which are things you guys can use. They're tools for society. They're not just tools for journalists. You can find out information. So I recently had a very big clusterfuck, which was a big government department chose to do something over 3 years, which is absolutely diabolical. They'd miscontextualised one of my clients' positions, and then a minister ultimately made an announcement, so I had to OIA that department, and lo and behold, I found out all of these lies that were being said in the OIAs. So now I have a meeting coming up with said minister. That is strategic storytelling in a nutshell.
Yeah, actually, just to add to that on the use of the OIA, Holly is absolutely right. Any citizen of New Zealand can use the OIA to get information from a government agency or department or local body. And quite often what you find too with the government agencies, I don't know if you've noticed this, Holly, but like I'll make a media request, just a straight media request, and they will immediately kick it up to an OIA because that gives them 20 working days to respond to you, because they have to do it within, so it immediately slows it down. So yeah, it's a bit of a game you play, and quite often like you finally get the OIA, and as Holly says, all this stuff will come out, and it's kind of like, why did you guys just not tell us that? I mean, you could have crafted a proper message, and but no, you made us trawl through a great big OIA done with 200 pages and draw our own conclusions, but it's how it works sometimes.
And that's like really interesting from a news media perspective, is that what Maria's saying is that in practice, when they're seeing something that comes out and then they're trying to respond to it, you can see which things have sort of been planned and which haven't. Like it's that kind of, and I mean there's an element of gotcha politics in it, but the thing I find it really funny is I watch from my little office and you can see things that they've tried to hide, and then they've tried to spin it a certain way, which is why I said lobbyists are sometimes called spin doctors, because that's sometimes what you used to do. But you can see from the other side how, as Stanley mentioned, sometimes they're just full of shit, and then you're like, oh, that's not actually what the story is.
Nice. Maria, one for you, and I'm going to actually pull this one from Slade. The question is, should you be using a PR agency when talking to media, or doing it yourself?
I think it's horses for courses. It depends how confident you feel. If you feel confident dealing with the media, I think maybe the direct approach is it's just a bit quicker and more seamless. I do find a lot of PR people in New Zealand are not particularly skilled at media relations. Media relations is really only one bit of PR. They do a lot of other stuff as well. And whereas like in the UK, you'll have specialist media PR people, over here they're generalists, and so they're not always that sort of good at it. So pick who you use carefully. And again, it's just that access thing, it's just like one more layer. And so if you get the agency to put out a release and you want to speak to the guy, you've then got to go through the agency who's got to track down the guy, who's got to see if he's available, blah, blah, blah. So it can kind of slow it down. But yeah, just in terms of crafting the message and thinking about what it is you're doing and why you're doing it, agencies can certainly add value.
Nice. And any tips for building those personal relationships with journalists?
Just like I mentioned before, just sort of suss out who's writing in your sector, which journalists have got a particular interest in the same kinds of things that you're interested in, and just reach out to them and get to know them. We're perfectly happy to come and have a coffee with you or whatever, because it's a symbiotic relationship. We want to know what's going on and you want to sort of get your face out there. So yeah, like anything, it's a relationship.
Nice, fair. Stanley, but equally to the wider panel as well, are we building genuine communities on LinkedIn, or is it now just a dull feed of constant waffle of everyone's self-interest? Debate time.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, it's both, and it can be both. And I don't think that there's actually anything wrong with it being both. Like, it's social media, like it's a shit fight. But you can have real connections. Like, if we take Chanel as a good example, Chanel and I feel like we know each other really well. Like, the height when you meet kind of know really well. I've seen you in person like 4 times, maybe. There's maybe the 4 times in it. But I've known her for years. I have a real relationship with her. And we know that that's true because there's a bunch of people who fall in love on dating apps, right, without ever seeing anyone. Like, we can have very meaningful relationships with people through text. That can happen. And we know that can happen because people get married after not even seeing each other, but just be texting each other on a dating app. So like, humans don't need to be in person to build real connections. We can build real connections on digital platforms. We can live there, so it can actually happen if you're doing it well. But there is also a just sea of bullshit everywhere. I don't think that's a bad thing though, because actually it's just people trying to give shit a go and trying to find their way, and if they do it well enough and have good feedback loop, they'll find people like how Chanel and I built a relationship virtually before we actually ever met each other.
Nice. And one for the whole panel actually. What are some of the challenges that you guys are facing or brands might be facing in your respective areas?
One of the ones that we had recently was I actually had a founder of another company reach out to me and say, hey, you've got a partner that's pitching for business using your brand and it looks quite bad. And also because my firm, Awhi, is a kaupapa Māori firm, that means that we've got a certain kawa, which is rules tikanga, the way you do it. And I was like, oh, okay. And I said, can you please send me the email from this business owner? And so they sent me a PDF, and it did say my company name, Awhi, but when I actually scratched under the surface, they were referring to another company that used the shortened version, like the AWHI, and then this business owner had reflected that back and thought it was my company. So that was just one of the small things that I saw, and it's especially interesting in sort of te ao Māori and then non-Māori, is that people will automatically assume that maybe my company, Awhi, because there's a blanket company, there's also a yoga studio called Awhi, there's lots of things, there's Awhi Farms, and they'll assume that that's my business, and 100% I'm not a farmer, don't make blankets, all those kind of things, run a lobbying firm, that's what we do. But that is one of the challenges that I'm seeing. It's an interesting challenge, it's not something that I can't deal with, but I actually did have to, rather than blast that business owner, say, I'm going to assume that this was just a genuine mistake. Please, can you fix it? And he was apologetic and said, yeah, 100%.
Can you ask the question again? Because whatever Holly said was not what I thought the question was, but I think you were right. And so I think what I was about to say was fucking full of it. Can you say it once more? No, I think you might have been right, but can you say the question again?
No, it was more, so you've obviously talked about in the presentations about how to do things well, but there's challenges we face as, you know, founders, owners, and people and brands themselves. So what are some challenges that you're facing in your respective area?
Yeah, she was right. I was definitely wrong.
Thank you.
No, I knew you were right. As soon as you said, I was like, she has definitely heard the question right. I was spacing out. Challenges that I'm facing, look, for me, with the way that we do things, I think the biggest challenge we always have is that I have lots of people that I rub up the wrong way. And you guys could probably understand that. But I don't, like, it is a challenge, but the reason why it's a challenge for us, not because I care, it doesn't bother me that I rub you up the wrong way, because if I didn't, and you actually agreed with me, or you like the way in my energy, we're going to be really good business partners. Like, we're going to work really well together. And my team's very much like me, and we're going to have a great relationship. The reason why it's bad is that my customers know that I do that, and they know that when we are working with them, that it might happen to them as well. And that if we do really good marketing, you're going to rub people up the wrong way. And actually, like, our whole motto is that if the more haters you've got, the more lovers you've got. So actually, the more haters we get, we've won. Like, if we've got people, like, whenever the first negative comment we get on a client's like campaign, we're like, fuck, we crushed it. Whilst they're ringing me going, what the fuck just happened? And actually, like, Drew sitting down there like a few years ago when we were doing some stuff with him, he had someone in his DMs, and it might have actually been a co-worker of Maria actually, absolutely smashing him. And we won't get into who it was, but he freaked out. He, like, properly freaked out. And he rang me, I was like 10 o'clock at night, I was like, what the hell's going on here? And I just sort of talked him through it. And then when you realise that, like, this person was overreacting to something that they did, to a LinkedIn post, you know that the thing wasn't the LinkedIn post, right? You know that when someone overreacts to a LinkedIn post, there's something wrong in their life right now. There's something, and it truly is something wrong with it. Like, they've got something that's hurting. It's not the LinkedIn post. That's just what they decide to lash out on. And Drew understood that, and now when he sees it, he just cracks up and laughs, as it is. So that's actually a challenge though, because that's a real conversation I have to have at 10 o'clock at night with clients who are like, oh my God, someone said one bad thing. I forgot about the 4,000 good things that were said yesterday. I'm going to hold on to this one. Fix it now, Stan.
Yeah, I was going to say something completely different, but now after what you've just said, I think I'll follow on from that. And the piece of advice I would give if you're dealing with the media and sticking your head above the parapet a wee bit is you kind of got to roll with the punches. It's not all going to be good. You know, you cannot predict how people will react, particularly on social media, where it's just like a megaphone for people's opinions and views. And sometimes people, you know, come at you with like, whoa, never even thought of that in a million years as a reaction kind of thing, as you say. But that will happen, and it's just the nature of being out there a little bit, really. There'll probably be more good than bad. I mean, we have Sam Stubbs in the room here. He comments all the time about stuff. I'm sure, Sam, people don't always love everything you say. Yeah. But, you know, you're a really great, effective commentator, and people always go back to you because you say good stuff. So, yeah, you just have to bear that in mind, that you are going to get a bit of this and that out there, but it's still worth doing, because then you're building a strong profile, strong sense of trust that, you know, you've got something worthwhile to say and that you're objective and so forth.
Do you guys find that you've been self-moderating at all lately?
Online or here?
No, not
here. Because I haven't. Not yet. Nah. Me, nah.
Right?
Nah.
And what I do?
In terms of when you get a pushback from a comment, you know, you're like, oh, I didn't even see that angle.
No. So it's kind of your job. It's like I say, when I got that real estate agent ringing the other morning going mad, it was just hilarious, actually, the emails he sent. You kind of got to develop a bit of a thick skin, and just, in terms of being a journalist anyway, and just remember that this is your job. It's important that you stay without, you write without fear or favour, basically.
Just at when you said do I change my opinion on something? I'll definitely read comments and let them influence the way I think in the future. I think one important thing is that you put yourself out there a lot and you say lots of stuff that don't just be closed-minded to everyone else's opinions. So I'll definitely, like, I learn as I go, and I know enough to know I know nothing. And so I'm okay that if people tell me stuff and I keep seeing comments that are similar, like, oh, hang on, am I wrong? Or can this help develop my opinion?
The root of the reason why I'm asking this is I saw a post by a very influential, very good business owner commenting around that under 16 social media policy, and said some of the, quote, wealthiest women I know have been putting their weight behind the policy. And I just thought, hold up, when does money ever equal good policy? And I was watching a comment and then I thought, nah. So I deleted it. That's the question. That's why I'm wondering about self-moderation, because I was just ready to crack in, and then I thought, actually, there's no value in this. And also just because the people that this business owner was talking about, you know, with their collective weight, could have sent a nice wee army at me. But it's from a political standpoint, I was like, that's bullshit, because money doesn't actually equal good policy.
You do need to know when to step away from the keyboard, I think. That you kind of have your say and then go, okay, this is now going to go down a really bad rabbit hole and I need to down tools. And,
I think there's just like fun ways to do it. Like, I'm going to make an assumption I know who wealthiest female you know is and what it was. And I constantly take jibes at this particular person. She's a client of being a client and it's fun. But I constantly will take jibes at her. But I think there are ways to get your opinion across without just like being a real heated debate, because there's no point in comments to get into a real heated debate on that.
That was dumb.
Yeah, no, it's dumb. And I think that, like, for me, most of the time it's either I don't have the energy to fight this, and if I do, I'm going to talk to the person, or I'm going to do some really funny stuff that's just going to poke fun at them, and people like Chanel will send it to me in my DMs and go, I know what you're doing right here. And so I think that there are fun ways to do it. That's my way of just giving my little shot at it. The people around me know what I'm doing. But otherwise, like, I really value like conversation. And so actually a lot of these people are trying to do it, like, when the people are trying to do something online and it's like, not, you're against it, and you think it's wrong, they aren't doing it most of the time to be malicious, they're doing it with good intent. They just might be a little misguided, misinformed. And in that particular issue, I actually went to Genevieve Moore and I was asking her for some advice, because she was really public about it. I didn't know how to speak it myself, I didn't have the words to articulate it. So first I talked to her and she shared my opinion with it. So then I could have that conversation. So I am, I guess, self-moderating, but I'm actually just trying to make sure that, like, I don't have the energy to go have a text war online. I just don't have that. I got 40 mouths to feed. I'm just trying to do that.
And so 500 pieces of content.
Yeah, I got my 500 pieces of content. Yeah. So I do it, I guess, when you really think about it. But I do like to poke the bear a bit there.
Yeah, chocolate fish for whoever finds out what that post is I'm talking about.
Nice. We're actually out of time, I think, but I'll throw one last question because it's come up a little bit, both right now. Maria, you mentioned trust. Holly and Stan, you mentioned authenticity. We heard about AI this morning, and obviously how much or how easy it is now to create content. But how much of an impact is AI having in your respective spaces? And is it, or how do you see it impacting authenticity?
Yeah, well, there's a big debate in the media at the moment. We do use some AI tools. For example, on Business Desk, we use a thing, we call her Biddy. I can't remember what BIDI stands for, and I don't know why she's female, but anyway. It's this little tool that we use to process like the NZX announcements and sort of press releases and stuff, so it's just real short takes of news that's just coming in. And it's clearly labelled as AI coverage, so people know. But it's interesting, we have discovered that Biddy gets a bit ahead of herself. If she can't find the information that she wants out of that straight announcement, she'll go off searching around the web and come up with stuff. So Biddy needs oversight, she can't just be let go. And we use other tools, like there's a thing called First Look, which is, it's like a sub-editor, goes through your copy and pulls out the spelling mistakes and the grammatical errors and so forth. And even just things like transcription services, that's AI. That's AI, and we couldn't live without those now. And they make our lives so much easier, so much quicker. So we are sort of using these tools, but the idea of of AI writing stories, that's still, jury's really out on that. I think you know, that's really still a job for a person. Maybe it's quite handy for things like you can't think of a headline and you just put some stuff in and it'll spit back some ideas to you, or you can't think of an intro, that kind of stuff. So it's a tool at this point, but whether it would ever take over my job, I don't think so. I hope not.
Stan, Holly?
Yeah, I got heaps of opinions in AI. I love it. I literally put every single thing I do through it. Literally every single thing I do goes through it. As a team, we use it massively. I think one of the concerns people have around, especially in content marketing, what we do, that why am I paying you if you're just using AI? And that's a real valid question. But the truth of it is that you are the biggest part of the cost with our agency is our ability to draw the story out and understand why this will work on the platform, or where we should put it and how we should put it and all that sort of stuff. Is still getting done by us. And then probably the lowest paid people in our team are the guys who actually create content. You know, the guys who are on the lowest salaries are the copywriters, the videographers, are the video editors. It's a somewhat of a lower skilled role, I suppose, compared to the guys who can think strategically. So all my copywriters, I've told them, you need to be as good as Nate, our ECD, at figuring out, solving strategy, and pulling stuff out, because you already are worse than the AI, actually. We've figured it out and we've done it, and so much of our content comes out is actually really fucking good AI content that people don't realise it is, and actually we know it's working because it's part of those 35 million views that we're getting. It's working. You might be able to pick its AI, but it doesn't matter, it did its job. It got 100,000 views, so it did its thing. So I think that it will replace jobs and whatever in terms of writing, but I think for my team at least, it's scaling them. Stu, whoever you are, he was saying before, a lot of people are looking at oh well, AI can then help you save costs. But actually, what if you just flipped on its head and is it my 40 people and I put AI behind them, I can do the work of a 400 person agency, and I just scale that way. And so I love it. I use it for everything. Literally every single thing I ever do. There isn't an email I'm sending or message I'm sending or strategy we've done or a copy of, but everything's going through it. I tell all my clients that we do. This has been recorded. The transcript will go through it. Everything will go through it. Every single meeting, all my teams have Ultron and stuff. I just think if you're not doing it, you're stupid. Just catch up. We've all witnessed what the big changes in technology did to business and society. We're going through another one. Just get on board. Stop crying about it. Just be part of it.
Cool, according to Stanley.
Let's go.
I should stop crying about it, and I'm stupid. So I am not against AI, but it doesn't work in my business. I had somebody new, found that they were trying to put client work into AI, and I had to put a policy in place to protect the client's mātauranga, which is their knowledge, because it's actually not ours. We hold it on behalf of them. And then that obviously meant that then I had to become more stringent on what was happening at other people's desks while I'm not watching them. And why it's important is because when you're dealing with these things that require nuance in and around politics, because things are black and white, but they're also grey. It's really important to be able to understand what some of the subtext is, and Maria will know that, because truly some of the times when I'm writing things, I'm actually writing for the person who's looking for the other thing that I'm writing, not actually the thing that I'm writing. That sounds very complicated, but that's why I get paid the big bucks to do what I do. And then so what I would say is it will inevitably be part of everyone's industry. I don't know how that's going to come out in lobbying, but what I do know is you can't send AI into a meeting with a minister, so I'm still going to be there.
That's exactly my agreed point too, is that the human part can't be replaced. You can't replace the people in the meetings. You can't replace the connection, the extraction of information and things. Humanoids will come around and take us over eventually. But I think that's a really good point, because this is the debate between it, is but there is some stuff that it just can't do, and it can't do it properly, or won't do it this way, and people like Dan at Analytics will be well, if you just get the right model and you train it well, it probably could do it. And I think that's it. I think the problem is we're defaulting to the off-the-shelf tools. We're defaulting to the ChatGPTs, and we're just going, this thing can do it, but that doesn't mean it can. That's the reason why Analytics has a business. And I think that someone like Holly, it's just probably not feasible to go build a massive model just for her business to do all of this stuff. It's actually still cheaper to just have humans do it well. And I think that's the same with all technology. I used to run hotels for a living, right? And people there are robots that can do room service. How many hotels have them? They just don't, because the investment of that is so expensive. They're just not going to do it because it's just easier at the time and the way their quarterly cycles work to just pay staff to do it. They just won't invest it. And we all know that, right? Like if the investment's too high for the technology to be built for a specific thing, we just won't do it. We'll just use humans instead. And I think in your case, that's a really, like yours has to be a custom built thing that is protected and the data's protected. It's on your server. No one else can access it. You're not going to do that. It's way cheaper to just have staff do it. For us, on like just sifting through hours of conversation to find, like to categorize it and put it into a nice neat package and stuff. Off-the-shelf products can do that so simple. So it's just really going to be where you're at or where you are. And I think there are building tools that you can use, and like you'll say, like every single transcription service is AI now. You're using AI whether you like it or not. It's everywhere. It's just like, don't think it can do everything. It just does what you just be mindful or intentional with how you're using it as well. I'm just a bit of a sucker for technology, so I use it for literally everything.